coolest reptile podcast in the world. Coffee and dab sessions all day, every day. What is good? I'm your boy, MJ. Patreon members, all right? Exclusive content. Patreon members will have access to these lives, unedited, anytime they want on the Patreon page. Click the very first link in the description below at the top. Click on it. Join the Trap Talk Patreon family. Today's episode, is brought to you by Always Evolving Python. Shout out to the big dog, killing it, doing big things. Make sure you follow him on YouTube. Subscribe to his YouTube account, please. And also follow him on Instagram. I also want to say that tonight's episode is brought to you by SUNDOWN Reptiles. If you're looking to get into tree monitors, if you are in the gecko game, all right, and the lychee game, you got to know who this guy is right here. Brian Susan, all right? Type in SUNDOWN Reptiles on IG, give him a follow. And I know there's a huge itch out there for the tree monitors. And it's only going to get crazier and crazier. I'm telling you right now, if you think I did work with the green tree pythons, wait until I get tree monitors cracking and getting people on that. But to get ahead of that curve, head over to SUNDOWN Reptiles, like I said, and head over to his website too. See what he has available. Let him know that the trap sent you. Brian Susan will take extra good care of you, man. Last but not least, Clutch. Shout out to Clutch, #1 ball python organization app in the game. Freshest for sure. Cutting edge. This is the app to be using, especially if you're one of those OCD organized types and you're just coming into ball pythons. Get on this immediately. Early birds, what's good? Oh yeah, don't forget, man. I know this is international trap talk and stuff, but always important. Support US ARC. They are here to help us keep our animals, and that is, what else could you ask for? Shout out to Phil Goss. Shout out to anyone who supports US ARC. Appreciate all the US ARC support that we have in this hobby. And again, shout out to you if you support US ARC. Thank you for being on the same team. Go. Early birds, who's here? I hope there's some UK players here, because if I was in the UK, I would for sure be tapping into this. We don't want to miss this, but got the young homie JD, Meteoric Serpents in the building. Colubrid Corruption host. Appreciate you, dog. Keep killing it. BNT Radical Boas. Does this midday get as many views? Probably not, but guess what? I'm gonna let the record be. I'm gonna be 100% when I say this, and this isn't really directed to you. I don't give a fuck about views. I am dead ass serious. If you think that I am doing this for views, you are fucking totally wrong. And I've made that be known from the very beginning. I don't give a fuck about views. Views don't pay for any of this shit. I'll tell you that much. So no, I mean, I don't give two shits. It's about knowledge and having this shit for you guys to always go back to whenever you need it. All right. Appreciate you being here, B&T. McClure Hatchery in the building. What's up, McClure? Thanks for being here. Alex M in the building. 305 Royals. What is good? Morph Valley Reptiles. V Unit Trap Talk. Patreon member all day, every day. It's my dog. Appreciate you, Ryan. Euphoria Ball Pythons, Italy in the building. I love it, man. I got some of my roots here in the building. Talk Patreon member all day, every day. Patreon family be global. It is game time. I'm stoked. Happy everyone's here for this episode, midday trap talk or evening, no matter what, you're tapped in. But it is that time to get your mind right. Do what you got to do to stay hydrated. Episode 455. Paul from Urban Constrictors coming at you right now. Let's go. Cheers.
Good.
You ready for do more in the future? Trap Talk podcasts?
Yes.
Man.
Only Trap Talk. Exclusive.
Yes.
Exclusive. Oh.
So stop calling us.
Rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the crowd, God love it or not. I'm hot from the hop to the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with everybody, we do it. Everybody, we do it. Do it.
And we're live, episode 455 with UK's finest, Paul Milner, Urban Constrictors. What's up, buddy? Hey, the good thing about these shows, Wednesdays, because I edit these, we can do whatever the fuck we want, technically. Man, I feel so good to have a UK keeper back on the show. It's been a long time. How you doing?
Really good, thanks. I am, yeah. Third time lucky. We'll get this one done.
Yeah, dude. How's it been? I feel like I haven't talked to you in a while.
So the market is obviously quieter than it was during COVID, but COVID times was very different to the norm. So I guess we couldn't really get settled into them sort of, sales and the way that the market was. But the market's definitely slower, but I've been through two of these recession crashes, whatever you want to call them.
Okay.
And it kind of cleanses the industry. It helps some people make the mind up whether they want to stay or leave if they're kind of teetering on whether to push forward or not. And then It also weans out the people who could potentially be in it for maybe the wrong reasons. But it's slower. My overall sales haven't matched previous years, but I'm still making good money. I'm still really enjoying what I do. So I can't complain, I've got no complaints. So
are you just, Paul, are you like stuff that isn't worth even selling because how low stuff's being priced? Are you just sitting on it, or what are you doing about stuff that you just don't want to lower the price on because other people are doing it?
I had a couple of animals I was struggling to sell, so I just put them on the MORPH market auctions and then, just took whatever I got. And only one snake didn't sell. And oddly, it was the best snake out of the bunch. I just don't think people saw its potential. But I've only auctioned 6 off, like I say, one didn't sell. But I'm not sitting on nothing. We sell it every single week, and I log all my sales and I reflect on previous years, previous months, and I'm doing okay. I can't complain.
And MORPH Market is the primary place you're selling a lot of your snakes right now?
It is now. So historically, it would be Instagram first, YouTube second, Facebook third, and then MORPH Market. But the reason MORPH Market ranked at the back was because I didn't put much effort into MORPH Market. I didn't always advertise every snake on MORPH Market. So MORPH Market wasn't, a fair contender in the race. But now I list a lot of stock on MORPH Market just for the tracking purposes more than anything. But a lot of my stock sell on my Patreon. The best stuff predominantly sells on Patreon now. So my selling platforms have changed dramatically. So now I would say it's Patreon first, MORPH Market second.
And man, it's funny you say that. Shout out to my Patreon members too, by the way. Shout out to any Patreon members because it's a smart thing to do if you're looking to get your hands on certain snakes. Because I hook my Patreon members. Not only do they get whatever I have first before anyone else, but I'll make up prices out of my ass for them. Like I just want to hook them up. Like it's no better feeling putting a snake that you made into someone's hand who's been paying for your support. Like it's crazy to me. I'm like so thankful to have it, but if I could give back by hooking them up with the snake, that's okay. Like it's like the best thing on earth, I feel like. And also too, like we're in a perfect world, if I sell someone a snake, I want them to come back to me. Like I always want them to come to me for the next snake. MORPH Market, that's a good chance of happening, but when it's someone who supports you the way a Patreon member does, and you take care of them by giving them snakes that they need and it helps them out, they'll always come to you. It's a lifetime customer situation. You know what I mean? And I think that's kind of when people get in recessions or whatever that happens, you have those customers that are loyal to you. That's why I say, a lot of people who are struggling or might have problems selling snakes, there's some people, because they have Patreon or because they have certain things where they're keeping people in tune, they're not having a problem as much as other people when it comes to selling snakes. They're still moving snakes, but it's a lot more than just using MORPH Market. There's people who just use only one platform or one tool thinking they could sell a snake, and it just doesn't work like that. Like you need to figure out all ways across the board on what you can do to get your work into other people's eyes and whatnot. It's not easy, bro. It's a hustle, as you know.
Yeah, it is. I think MORPH Market. I think Patreon is good for so many different aspects. I know there's a lot of people that's against it, but with mine, because I can't speak for anybody else's, mine is free of charge after 1 year if you're on the highest tier, and it's £30 a month, so you pay £306, and it's free forever. And then the lower tiers, once they hit the same amount of money, it's free for the rest of their life. So it's not an onward payment, but the deals I've done on Patreon, has more than compensated the vast majority of people who've bought off me for all of their, lifetime subscription.
Yeah.
We give snakes away, and I don't mean rubbish snakes. I mean good snakes. We give snakes away.
Yeah.
We have the urban barbecues and stuff. So, I don't promote my Patreon strongly because I don't want it to turn into such a large group. We've got well over 100 people, but I don't want it to be hundreds where we create divides and smaller groups within the Patreon. I just want the right people to come to it for the right reasons. But for me, I think Patreon, anybody's Patreon, not just mine, is a worthwhile investment if you are deadly serious about this industry.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I remember when I first started Patreon, I was like, I never want more than 100 because it's going to get too much to manage. Like, because I want everyone to be in sync, right? But at the end of the day, like, no one's ever going to always be in sync. But the one thing about my Patreon is like, you could be who you are and we don't give a shit. Like, there's so many things that you could be into. And that's the beauty thing, is like learning about other stuff. But at the end of the day, there are different personalities. There are reasons why some people are on Patreons, other reasons. But I think if you're building something that gathers a community, you're not going to go wrong, And speaking of community, like the UK market as a whole, how much has it grown, you feel like, since the last time maybe you've been on this show? Because it's been over a year since you've been on the show. So maybe let's take a little bit back. How much since COVID do you feel like UK market has grown, Paul?
If I'm honest, I've never really thought of that. If I'm honest, I don't know how much it's grown. I know during COVID, a lot of investors came in worldwide. So the market definitely was growing. But to just speak about the UK alone, I'm not really sure about that. I don't know the numbers, but I think the market's steadily growing. For every one person that leaves, at least one person gets in. So I don't think the market's shrinking anywhere in the world, I wouldn't say. So I think the market's still strong. And I think 2024 is going to be substantially better than 23. And I think 25 will be better than 24. I do YouTube, as you know, MJ, and I didn't do any YouTube videos about, how to survive the market and blah, 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 because it is what it is. It's not the snake industry that's suffering. It's the whole economics of everywhere. It's every sector, every business, whether it's selling animals, selling food, selling cars, selling clothes, selling your ass, whatever you do, it's suffering. Every industry is suffering. There's restaurants in my local area charging so little for food, you're kind of suspicious how nice that food's going to be because it's so ridiculously cheap. So it is what it is. Just capitalize, get the best animals you can, the best bang for your buck, and move forward. And if I hatch let's say I hatch a snake that's worth $5,000, and on today's market I can only get, let's say, 2.5. I'll just hang on to it for 8 months, get it big, and sell it for damn near $5,000. You can play this industry to your advantage. As long as you've got a bit of space to hold the good stuff back, and dedication to your animals, etc. You're in good stead. And the money you make in this industry, the return on investment is so huge. I think as long as you're buying the correct animals, you can't really lose. Even in these times, you can't lose.
Right.
In my opinion.
But it's like you said, you just have to really be dedicated to not only the animal, but like what's happening out there and what you really, because it's like, I think by accident, people could get into projects that they don't even know that a million other people are already in. And they're like, but that's your fault for not kind of digging and doing research and seeing how worked certain projects are. And it's not easy also. Like there's a lot of things that kind of take a lot more legwork than people think that to get success. And I'm curious. Go ahead. Were you gonna say something?
Oh, sorry, MJ. There's a slight delay, so I thought you'd finish. You carry on.
No, yeah. Sorry. There's always usually a delay in the international ones. But anyway, so I'm curious. What's the competition like right now in the market where you're at? Like, are you only the one kind of working on certain double, triple recessives that no one else is, or what's going on?
No, I think there's plenty of guys in the UK doing great things. I think we do get a little bit overlooked, but some of my Patreon members, I could see the comments before we went live, so I can't see them now, but there's Sam and Kyle and Chris. Chris is in America, mind. And there's
this guy's cool too. This guy gave me hella props as far as bringing you on as well.
Yeah, he's the big dog. He's my New York homie. He's a Patreon member. Well, obviously all them people have names.
Right. Shout out to all Urban Constrictors Patreon members for tapping in for this guy. That's awesome.
Mike is a good dude. They all are. We create such amazing friendships, and that's why after approximately 8 months of me having my own Patreon, I said, you know what, guys, I want to make this free of charge after 12 months because you've shown your dedication to the Patreon. So you've invested in yourself, because if I make it free of charge, everybody would join and it would just spoil it. So I said, you've invested in yourself, it's free of charge after a year. Some people said, right, well, I'll just pay you the difference now and then it can be free of charge. And then you get put on the legacy tier. And, you know, the relationships I've made, you know, it's a shame, like Chris Coons, Big Mike and that, Amber, you know, there's loads, Tim. It's a shame, you know, the UK and America are so far apart because they always talk about coming to visit. I know it's high up on Amber's list at the moment to come and visit. Miguel's coming over to visit. Miguel was on our group calls last week. He's on, I think, this week and next week.
I saw that.
He's a good dude, is Miguel. He's a real good dude. But yeah, so back to your question. So yeah, there's plenty of guys in the UK making some amazing stuff. But the difference, in my opinion, between the UK and America is you'll get a higher concentration of like higher end animals in American collections than you do in the UK. Typically, UK breeders have a smaller collection. And if you're working on, say, 4 or 5 recessive projects, it's a little bit, you know, scattered. Not scattered, but, you know, it's a little bit thinner on the ground, each, you know, project. So say it's hypo DG or something like that, you know, you don't have a bunch of animals. But no, there's some really good dudes in UK making some amazing stuff. And I don't see people as my competition, because one thing I tell my Patreon members is whenever you're selling an animal, whether you list 50 on Morph Market or 1, you are only looking for one customer at a time. So people get a little bit overwhelmed, like, I've got 50 snakes to sell, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, but you're only looking for one person. And they said, well, I'm looking for 49. I said, well, you don't do 49 sales all in one go. You do one at a time. So just focus on it. And also, like I was teaching a Patreon member the other day, he was telling me his projects. He told me hold back animal. And I said to him, right, you've got 2 codoms in there and 2 recessives. It was a hypo clown. And I said, the 2 codoms, it was pastel and cinnamon. So I had the pastel cinnamon hypo clown. I said, I wouldn't push that exact animal forward in your collection because nobody's really searching for pastel hypo clowns or cinnamon hypo clowns. Don't get me wrong, you know, they have their place, but you know, if you think of sort of Stranger or Hurricane or Special or something like that, you know, even Spot Nose, Yellow Belly, stuff like that, you're gonna get, if you're hitting them codoms in the hypo clowns, then you're gonna have a bigger, broader market to sell towards. So he's listened, and I think, just like a lot of, I'm really proud to say, just like a lot of my Patreon members, they have made waves. They have made, their collections have turned around. And to be honest, if they was on, they would shout it from the rooftops, the difference it's made. And it makes me really happy. It makes me really proud, actually. And I don't use that word lightly.
That's awesome, man. It's kind of a good feeling to say. And, you know, also just to see anyone kind of just make ground after just being patient, it's good to see, because you notice a lot of people always putting a timeline on themselves, or they always want something to happen on some sort of like on their watch when they just barely got into this. And really, like, you got to know what to do when it happens for you. I want to say with DG and hypo being such a, like, I don't want to say it's like pick one or the other, because we all know it looks great together, but what do you feel like is more popular in the UK, DG or hypo right now?
If you asked me a year ago, DG. If you ask me now, I would say hypo, but I wouldn't stand and argue that as a fact.
Right.
But me personally, and this is no disrespect to Chris Eaton, I love him. No disrespect. I'll make that loud and clear. No disrespect.
Chris
really
Eaton.
Like him.
Okay. Okay. This will be interesting.
So he, on his podcast, quite often you would mock people for hypo. And I used to think, dude, the wave is coming. The wave is coming. Yeah. And he would say, he mocked this young lad who was on. He was like, dude, motherfucker, yeah, you're in hypo, you douchebag. He was just joking. He was playing around. And I was like, Chris, you're wrong. It's coming. So, you know, the wave has hit the beach. It's here. So, yeah.
Hey, how long ago was that? Was that like during COVID time, or when was that? When was that? I'm just curious.
It's been happening for years. I don't know. A couple of years, obviously, well before his operation and stuff. And I hope he's making a speedy recovery. Really do like him, and we've spoke, you know, multiple times. He's a cool dude, but it's just I would hear it and I'd think you are wrong. Hypo, as well as clown, are my single 2 single two are my two favorite genes by far. Hypo makes everything better, but I will say not all hypos are born equal. They're just not. You see some hypo combos that look like snakes stuck in shed, and you see some hypo combos that have a depth of color you're kind of not used to seeing.
Yeah, DG, same with DG too, though. Like, there's levels to DG. I feel like not all DJs are created equal, for sure.
There is, and I've bought the wrong DGs in the past.
Okay? Can you tell me a little bit more about that? Like, how can we help someone not follow the wrong DG for them? I'm just curious
if it on photographs, because I bought it out of the EU, and I'm not going to say the combo because I don't want to give any disrespect to the seller because he's actually a nice guy, but I bought.
I know, but you can just so you know, you have the freedom to say whatever name you want.
Yeah, so, I'm not gonna. I don't think I'd like it if someone threw me under the bus. But I bought a DG combo. It was really nice. It was a lot of money, and when I received it, I was just like, it's not the best, is it? But I just thought, you know what? With a lot of my girls, there's such good quality. I'll be able to basically, sharpen that chisel, so to speak. I'll be able to just, go past that, but I couldn't rescue the quality. His babies was just not what I'm used to hatching, so I unfortunately lost quite a lot of ground. So sold all of his babies, and then just moved forward. But put me behind 2 years because I was chasing it.
So you bought DG elsewhere, is what you're saying?
I'm not saying don't buy out of the EU. I'm just saying when you buy a Desert Ghost, make sure it absolutely wows you. If at a young age it's not kind of vibrant, it's not gonna get. It's not, well, they say DGs get better, but they don't all get better. If it's not a good example at say 200 grams, it's not going to be a fantastic example at a kilo. It's just not.
Yeah, I agree.
But his excuse was, well, we didn't know how DG reacted and stuff, and the testing kind of threw a lot of question marks over it. But it just wasn't a very good quality one, and we've all sold animals that aren't the best quality.
Paul,
not everything I
gotta ask you, what question marks did the testing throw at you? I'm just
no. So when it first came out that you couldn't just test for DG like you can test for clown or hype or something like that. There was an A, a B, a C, an X, Y, and a Z, and it was all a little bit confusing at one point or another. But apparently that's been proven not to be the case now. It's quite simple again. So who knows?
Yeah, it's crazy because it was nuts to see the stir up in the community and everyone freaking out. But, I talked to people who were just like, there's nothing else to do but to just keep treating it as what it is. And that's a recessive, you know what I mean? And
yeah, exactly that.
All that jumbo shit kind of gets to your head. But at the end of the day too, it just kind of goes just looking at the animal and paying attention to the quality of it from the get-go. Like, I'm glad that you said 200, 300 grams, that thing should be popping. And if it's not popping, well, there you go. It kind of shows you that it ain't going to get better at that point. I'll tell you that much.
No, exactly that. And it didn't get better. So I had to just,
But you
will
say that the future's already headed towards working with genes that make adult ball pythons look great as adults, right? Because we're starting to see a lot of the double, even triple recessives hold that to truth. And I'm curious, what genes do you feel like those are for you that are starting to age better? You know what I mean?
Well, for me, it's always been hype on DG because they do age fantastically well. That's no secret. And I've recently kind of fine-tuned my collection. I've sold the vast majority of my pied collection off, my clown pied collection.
Wow.
There's nothing wrong with it. It's not my vibe anymore. And what it was is I started hitting lots and lots of high white pieds, and it burnt me out. I'd get excited about a clutch, and then, one would pip. You obviously see its colourful head. You think, here we go. You cut a clutch, and it was, 90% white, and that just killed me. It absolutely murdered me, and I found them very difficult to sell. And in the end, I was talking to a friend, and he was basically like, fuck pieds, get rid of pieds. And now he's going balls deep into pied. So we've kind of changed places. But I'm not shitting on pied. It's a good project.
No, you're right though. No, you're right, because I'm sitting on probably like 7 high white pieds right now.
Yeah,
which I sold. They had siblings that were mids and lows, and I got rid of them no problem. But here they are. I have them a lot cheaper than their siblings, and they're still not going anywhere. And I feel like I ought as well just sell you as a Blue Eye Lucy. Like, what do you want me to do? I don't know what else to do.
With
Like,
no blue eyes.
yeah, with no blue eyes. Yeah,
Yeah.
a fake Eye Lucy. But I don't know. You know, at the end of the day, it's kind of like, but I so believe in Pied at the same time, because I've seen like amazing hypo Pied combos, DG Pied combos. But then again, that's one amazing snake out of how many? Like, how many can you really determine that will look that mid to low white? Like, you can't really determine it. It's really up in the air. And if one season hits you where you got a lot of high whites, it's gonna fucking suck, you know?
Yeah, and that's what happened to me. It was high white after high white after high white, and it just burnt me out. But that clown pied combo just in hatch maybe 2 weeks ago, that almost turned me back around. I can't remember. Yeah, I think it was a blackhead combo or something. And I was like, oh damn, maybe I've ducked. Well, the thing is, there's always going to be amazing, you know, combos being made. But for me, I just wanted to fine tune my collection. I've gone just more into my clowns, not just like hypo clowns, DG clowns, and them combined, but like sunset clown stuff, and also just multi-codom clowns, because I've just hatched some snakes on my latest YouTube video. They're absolutely phenomenal. I mean, they are phenomenal. They have almost a bit like a Kraken vibe to them. So, especially, you know, I don't know if you're familiar with the Krakens, but there's one that's nicknamed the Aussie snake.
The morph Kraken or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you know the Aussie snake, the grey and yellow one? Yeah. So the complete different color, but that sort of vibe. They have lettering all the way down them. They have a perfect PM twice, on my initials, on both sides of the snake. They have a perfect S, and it looks like a kid's, like, you know, attempted to write something down them. They are phenomenal. The color is amazing, and they are just obviously clown, but then codoms. There's no other recessives in there, and you know, for me, I'm real happy hatching stuff like that. Real happy.
Because, you know, anything cool looking is going to sell for sure. Like, if it's something that is not regularly being produced and it pops, that's like, all you have to do is just separate yourself from what all these other idiots are fucking making. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
It is a bunch of repetitive shit that a lot of people didn't put energy into thinking about when they first came in. All they did was listen to someone else's pipe dream and bought what they had. So now there's a bunch of that stuff already out there. But if you did a little bit of the like soul searching of what you really want to work with, and you differentiate yourself from everything else, and dude, it's a great time. Like I have stuff going this year, which is just clown with some incomplete dominance in it. But I know for sure these are incomplete dominants that I don't see them on Morph Market right now. And I'm pretty sure when I do hit these are gonna be fucking really cool looking. And if either way, I'm just happy to be working with it. But it all starts with you wanting to work with the project. Like, it has to hit home. You know what I'm saying? Otherwise, don't do it. I feel like.
Yeah, do you know, that's a really good point. And to kind of segue into green trees. So my favorite green tree pythons are basically like the Sickness, El Diablo, things like that, the dark stuff. I love it. A lot of Dave D sort of stuff. Right. Amazing. And it was my dream. I actually had one coming from Pedro, but we just couldn't get it to the UK. And it was a very expensive animal. I said I'll give 12,000. I can't remember if it was euros or pounds, but I said I'll give 12 grand for that snake. He said, let me think about it. So he had to think about it, and then he said, a couple of days later, it was taking so long. I was like, dude, he wants more money. But he came back and said, yeah, we can do that. And it's Backbone. That's his name, Backbone. So Backbone was coming to me, and I was so excited about it, but we just couldn't get him over here. You know, we just couldn't legally get him over. So in the end, Pedro, as an honourable, great guy, refunded my deposit and said, you know, one day we'll make it happen. So my journey re-begun trying to acquire a high enough end green tree python that I could basically, hopefully, one day create a dark, very melanistic green tree. Right. But then I had my clutch and my second clutch, and then one or two of them were very dark babies. Well, as it happened, they haven't aged into darker snakes, which I was hoping for. But what has happened is they've got a ton of white on them. Was kind of a curveball for me, really unexpected. So now it's made me feel I want to try and chase, instead of just going all melanistic like most people want, and I still certainly do. I thought maybe I can go almost melanistic, but have a lot of white too.
Right. White
you'll see-
melanistic.
Yeah, I thought imagine making basically snowflake line, so pinching inspiration for Ed Marino, snowflake line green trees, but then having some melanin in there. That's one of them. He's so white.
Yeah, that's fun.
He's
now,
and he's got lots of blood.
Was this the darkest one out of the clutch?
That I always say is he. It could be a girl. Yeah, that one was.
Damn, man. And this is him right before the color change.
Yeah, that's it.
Wow, bro.
Yeah.
But it is pretty intense how that works, right? Like you have such a black, dark looking snake that you feel like, what direction could it possibly go to? And then all of a sudden it just changes. You know what I mean? But like not all change is bad. Like, I mean, do you have the most recent photo? You don't, huh? I need to get one up here. I think I have one.
No, I don't take that many photos of them, to be honest. But don't get me wrong, he doesn't have the family history, the lineage of a melanistic snake. It's just when they came out so dark, I thought, wow, there's a chance. It was just, it was like that Dumb and Dumber scene where she's damn right turned him down and he's like, so you say there's a chance? That's what I was like. There's a chance. Yeah, there's like 0.01% chance. But now he or she has changed and he's got so much white, big blotches of white. And I'm thinking, hang on a minute, this could have now, sideswiped me onto a different track. And I'm really happy to take that because I'm looking at them because they basically right next to me. So I'm looking at them thinking, look how white, he or she is. And, that's maybe the direction I need to go in and just rely on people like Pedro or Bill or someone to sell me some really dark ones.
I mean, you're already off to a really good start, man. Like, it just seems like your experience so far is a lot better than most others, and I think that's the biggest thing to be happy about, that you're already sitting on holdbacks, like you got your own, like you could start your own thing now, basically, which is awesome. Like, I mean, who knows if these holdbacks that you sit on and you breathe back to something, you figure out that you could add more white to the melanistic, like, that's a whole nother level of what we're doing here, and I love the white, to be honest, because obviously emeralds are my thing too. I'm a fan of the basins, obviously, and the Miss Willie line, northern emerald tree boas, and those big bold white markings is kind of that's my jam. You know what I'm saying? But I also love the dark stuff. Like, I love the fucking black stuff, the melanistic, and just really dark looking stuff as well. Mix them together, that would just be the best of both worlds, I think.
Yeah, I think when Dave D was doing an interview with you, and towards the end, he's like, I've got a couple of snakes here, do you want me to pull them out? And one of them, it was just ridiculous. That's dream come true shit for me. But so I'm not a really religious person, but I kind of said a little prayer, and I said, please God, if you're gonna shine down on me, give me a really melanistic green tree python. And he did. So now I'm a believer. He did. What I forgot to ask God for was make him a melanistic adult. I forgot the finer detail. So God was like, right, here you go. There's your wish. Fuck you. In 6 months, it's not going to be black. So I got my wish.
You're lucky he didn't give you a prolapse, bro. That's one thing.
Yeah, I've not had prolapses, and every one of your podcasts with Green Tree people, it's like prolapse talk and problem feeders. I think I dodged a few bullets, but no. So I'm just happy not to hatch the most, I don't want to say boring, but the most stereotypical, if there is such a thing, green tree python. Mine are better than your worst looking one, so I'm very happy.
I mean, yeah. Either way, like I'm looking forward to anything, to be honest. But still, I'll tell you what, that's a really good start, bro. And then I can only imagine as an adult or whatever, adding something from Dave D or Bill Stiegel or fucking Socrates or whoever that you could, Pedro. I mean, Pedro's my dog, bro. But it's just so sad to just think how difficult it is to get anything from Pedro over here in the United States. I think Forrest was the only one who had that opportunity, and he did. He got a mosaic line from Pedro that unfortunately didn't make it. But that's the only thing.
Died, didn't it?
Yeah, it's the only thing I can remember, And I'm like, but now it just seems like Mission Impossible.
Yeah, it's a tough uphill struggle. It is, but if you get the animals into your collection, then it's definitely worth the hassle.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
How many holdbacks did you keep from that clutch?
I kept them all. I kept every one.
6? How many were there? Sorry.
8.
Nice.
So
Wow.
I was offered 10,000 for the dark one. An American guy, actually. He said, I don't know if it was dollars or pounds, but he said, I'll give you 10 for it. And I was like, I'm good for the money, so I don't need to sell it. But I'm glad I didn't.
Fuck no.
You know, no. So their mother is definitely building. I think she'll give me a clutch, you know, within a month or two. So fingers crossed, hatch some more, and I may let 1 or 2 go. But they'll be my Patreon members first, obviously. But yeah, I'm just looking forward to. I've built an extension on Urban just for green tree pythons. Hence why I launched the Instagram page Urban Chondros. So the good thing is it's still the same initials.
Oh, that's your page? I knew I should have known better. I was like, I think that's Paul's.
Dude, we talked. We was like, "How are you doing, Paul?" You knew it was me. You must have
urban constrictors. I mean, urban chondros.
Yeah, dude.
I don't think I knew that was you, dude. I don't think I knew it was you.
I'm sure you said my name. I'm sure you
really?
did. But anyway. Yeah. So you should recognize next. Maybe hand. Oh, saying that there won't be many hand pictures in there. But
my memories.
No, so that's why I launched that. So I'm in the final stages of getting that complete, and then all my chondros will move into there. My 2 northerns. And I've got 2 chondros that have been in quarantine for over 2 years. The reason they're still in quarantine is nothing wrong with them. It's just I've got nowhere to put them in here. So I built an extension. And yeah, I'm just going to have a nice little, what I call like an art gallery room. A bit like yours behind you. You just see it. It's perfect. And then you see the amazing animals in it. And that's what I want.
Because I know you went with some awesome, like, custom, like, shelving type cages that you put on the wall, which
IKEA,
yeah, right. And so, what are your adult size cages look like? How big are those?
So they're 2 foot, and I think it's 45 or 50 centimeters front to back. Deep. So it's not quite 2 foot cubes. 2 foot front to back. 2 foot high, 2 foot wide, but not quite 2 foot front to back. And to be honest, one of the biggest questions I go through most evenings is, should I give them a bigger enclosure? Because my opinion, this is only my opinion, if you give a chondro a huge enclosure, let's say a room, an actual room, it'll use loads of it. It'll use a lot of it. But if you put it in a 2 foot cube, won't use that much. And if you put it in, say, a 3 foot cube, it won't use that much. For me, in my opinion, they stay still unless there's a ton of space. Unless there's a lot of, you know, heat gradient, you know, if there's you know, a big heat gradient, they may use it. But I can't achieve the biggest heat gradient with obviously so many animals in the room. It's difficult, you know. But I've had chondros in 3 foot tall, what those called skyscraper enclosures, and they didn't use 15 to 20 inches of the lower portion of the enclosure. They only used the higher sections. Even when hunting, they didn't sliver down and perch on a lower branch and aim towards the ground. You know, they just looked at me and said, "Are you going to feed me or what?"
Yeah, I was kind of like, damn it, you know. And honestly, I love my 3x2x2s. So behind me, everything's 3x2x2s. I have how many of these? 16 of them, 18 of them. So
flexing now.
Yeah, well, my whole room's gonna be like this at some point. But anyways, but then I had like Ben Russo on. I had and then, you know, shout out to Greg Maxwell. Who else is the other OG I had on? Ryan Young. And dude, like the biggest that they recommended or that they went with was a cube, a 2x2x2.
And look at it,
crazy. And even Ryan Young's is smaller than that. I think it's skinnier. I think it's 18 inches deep. Like it's not deep at all.
Yeah. Nerds. I think Nerds is about a foot wide. And you remember Ed Marino? He had them see-through enclosures, and I'll never forget it, MJ, because you was like, how big is that enclosure? Because it doesn't look too big, but it doesn't look too small. It was like fucking savage small. It was really tight. But Ed's a cool guy, and me and him have talked a lot. And he's like, he just said, treat your room like an enclosure, and you won't go wrong. And that's what I've done, and I've never gone wrong. Is a good dude, but when you look, and I'm not saying to people go for smaller over larger. If I if I had the largest space and endless amounts of money, I would just do large, just for the sake of it, to make, so you can put more foliage and stuff in there, make it look cool. But I don't think they use it. I really don't. It's kind of a shame in some respects. But when you look at Nerds enclosures, they're quite tall, but they're not very wide. And, Kevin, he knows his stuff. He knows his stuff about these snakes.
Yeah,
so,
for sure. That's
but what I want to do, and this is something else I've been fighting with. So the room is going to be just arboreal snakes, green tree pythons and emeralds. Now, what I would love to do is just basically open an enclosure and just leave the room for the night and let that particular snake venture out. But then there's going to be cross-contamination. So I thought, right, I'll have emeralds in large enclosures, green trees in smaller enclosures. But then, you can't guarantee every single green tree is squeaky clean. So it's tricky, isn't it? It's real tricky because I would love, because I was going to create all these vines. A bit like, what's that lady's name? Is it
Amy?
Yeah.
Happy Bases.
Yeah.
Yeah, she had the episode where there was vines everywhere.
Yeah.
It was like, whoa, that shit was intense.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I think that's cool, but like it's also I mean, I don't think I could just let them roam and leave. I think I would have to be right there just because I know in my room, especially because I got too much going on. But if you dedicate and you safe proof the room, and
that's the thing. The room is built.
They do that. A lot of people do that with retics here in the States. Like a lot of people have they've gone all out to where they dedicate a whole room to a fucking retic. A bunch of retics. So they'll have like 6 or 7 super dwarfs in one room climbing on ropes and stuff like that and just having a good time. It's not permanently like that. They don't live like that, but they're like that for a couple days. You know what I mean? Just hanging out. And it's funny, just recently the other day, like I have a male who just did the job with one female, and he has about 3 females to choose from above him, right? So he was cruising and all trying to get out. So I opened up all 3 females. And I opened up him, and I was like, go ahead and pick which one you want to go to. And it's shit you not. He went to all 3, went back, and ended up going to the middle one. And I was like, all right, cool.
The one with the fattest ass.
Yeah, so I was like, all right. And of course, they're not locked, but whatever. Like, I'll just do your thing, buddy. Musical chondros, you know what I mean? But, people out there hear musical chondros that are in the chondro game and probably like freak out like, oh, MJ, where's your biosecurity? Where are your gloves? And dude, I've tested everything here, and I know, like I'm content with my animals. Like I don't think I need gloves. You know what I mean? Now, mind you, if I had something else I was interacting with that's not in this room, I would be concerned. But I'm pretty careful when it comes to. I do wash my hands in between certain stuff, but I'm pretty careful about that. How strict are you with your biosecurity? NIDO testing, all that stuff.
So yeah, none of my babies have been NIDO tested. Let me just throw that one out there. 1, because I hatched them and they should hatch clean. 2, they've, other than their brothers and sisters, they've never been in contact. I use belly pots for water bowls, so there's no washing of washing bowls and giving a different bowl to a different snake kind of thing.
Right.
So with my adults, I will wear 1 pair of surgical gloves because I've had them so long, and a friend of mine had them maybe 3 or 4 years before me. Never an RI, never a problem, never a prolapse, never a mite, never nothing. So you've got to, at one stage or another, you've got to think, right, I'm going to have faith in this animal. But I have rules here. So, for instance, if I am going to take a water bowl out of a green tree enclosure, instead of putting it on this work surface, I put lots of layers of tissue or basically unprinted newspaper down, so it doesn't touch the surface, and I sanitize and sanitize and sanitize. But I am slowly relaxing it. But I have a couple like rules that you don't maintain green trees on the same day as ball pythons and vice versa. Because although I appreciate if there's a green tree python listening, he's going to start slitting his wrist because I might say the words ball python. But ball pythons pay my wage. They pay for my house. They pay for my kids to have a nice life. So. Yep. I love ball pythons. I really do. They're amazing. And I have to be very thankful to them. Now, I started with green tree pythons. So a lady once said to me, Paul, you started at the top and worked down. And I totally get what she said. But, I don't want to make the ball python sick, and I don't want to make the green tree python sick. And up to now, I have got a pretty perfect track record. It might have been luck, and I don't have a ton of green tree pythons. That's the thing. I have 4 in this room that I didn't hatch, and I have 2 in my home, and I have 2 emeralds in this room, and then I have 2 emeralds nearish London that have been in a friend's collection for over a year.
Are we talking northerns or basins?
No, northerns. No, I'm still on the hunt for basins.
Nice.
Still on the hunt. That's an itch I'm yet to scratch, and I have tried damn hard to scratch.
It's funny. I try to tell a lot of my Patreon members and people I'm trying to get, people that are getting into the chondro game, because you know how it is. Right when you discover chondros and you're seeing all these breeders and you're hearing all these Trap Talk episodes, you go crazy. You go chondro crazy, and you're just like, what the fuck? And then you think the chondros are the best thing on earth. Then you think nothing could beat a chondro, right? Until you see an Ed Marino basin. And then when you actually see an Ed Marino basin in front of you and you hold one, and it makes you double think everything. And I feel like I call it graduating. I always say there's always people who think chondros are the best thing on earth until they come around some basins, and then all of a sudden that mood changes, and then they become like a basin snob. And that's kind of what happens. I'm not joking. They call basins a Ferrari of reptiles, and I want to say that's the truth. You can't top a basin. I'm sorry.
I agree with that, but I once heard one of your guests, and I forget his name, and I feel bad because I do know his name. Does he work with
both of them?
I believe so. If the person, you'll know it, is from Texas. He has curly-ish hair down to about here. Texas chondro guy. What's his name?
Mark Hager. He was just on yesterday. Mark Hager.
No, that's not his name.
Mark's the only guy with red curly hair.
Yeah, that's him who I'm picturing, but that's not the name I expect you to say. So I might have got this wrong. But I think it was him or one of your guests said, everybody thinks basins are the best, but they don't have the colours of chondros. And that got me thinking. Because...
yeah, I mean, that's true. Like, there's
3 colours to an emerald.
There's no
green,
designer,
white, and yellow.
Right, but if you want to look at just the quality of the scalations and just what you see on it just changes everything. Like, if we kind of look at, okay, that's a cool looking animal, but like really look at the prehistoric side of things and just kind of what looks more rare. I don't know. I guess it could go back and forth. I guess you're right, because I myself do catch myself saying I'm a chondro fucking lover for forever and not a basin, but I pull out Oprah, who's right here, and I change my mind. I don't know. I do go back and forth a lot. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, MJ, let me quickly tell you this. So I turned YouTube on, and then your video came on, and it said just before Thingy Alba, what's her name? Jessica Alba.
Oh, Alba. Yeah. Jessica Alba.
And I turned to my wife and said, Emma, Jessica Alba's dead. I didn't fucking know it was your snake. She's like, what, really? Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, Jessica Alba, as in the celebrity.
Oh, you thought the actress was dead?
Yeah.
Whoa, yeah. No.
And I'm telling my lass, and she's Googling. She goes, no, she's not. I'm like, that's what I said on MJ's video. And then I started obviously watching the rest. And I was like, oh, no, my bad. But no, one of your guests did say, but for me, why choose? If you can have emeralds, if you can have northerns, basins, green tree pythons, why not? Wow. Why not? I'd have them all. Well, I'm trying to get them all. I just haven't got any basins.
Yeah, but you know how it is, man. We're in a competitive world. At the end of the day, some people think there can only be one. And if we were to kid around and joke around, like I always, in my heart, like I said, you can't really talk until you've seen and held a bunch of basins. Yeah. It's different. I'm telling you, it's different. It's different. If
I could only have one snake, I think it would be an Ed Marino, snowflake line basin.
That's what I'm saying. And Patrick, you ain't got no Ed Marino stuff, so pipe down, buddy.
All
your basins are textbook. So
Patrick is the homie. Big shout out to Patrick. He's a good dude. I have a bit of a man crush on him because I actually have that much respect for him. I really do.
Was that before or after the yoga photos?
The yoga photos, the black and whites.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, he sends me some of his private collection ones. Nah, dude.
Wow, Patrick, really? Dude.
He's a good dude, is Patrick. I really love Patrick. I want to meet him one day.
Oh, meeting him is just as better, I would say, because you learn when you meet him. He just talks about shit, and you just want to listen to the guy forever. I love Patrick. Patrick, Mark, Bill, those group of Texans are some of the best people you ever meet. And if you ever have the privilege of meeting all three of them in one setting, you're in for a night.
Yeah, imagine that. And I'd love to meet Marshall Mendez.
Oh, and Marshall. Yeah, but Marshall's not tech.
And maybe Gary as well.
Yeah.
I'd wear a Carpondro t-shirt just for him.
Gary is something else. I will say though, Gary Shavino is special, bro. And I'm not saying special. I'm meaning like he's probably one of the most special, diverse knowledge reptile keepers we have. Like we're talking anywhere from lizards all the way to snakes. You know, I love Gary, man. Gary, just all good people. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know, what was the last time you've been to the United States, Paul?
I've never been to the US. Never. I was talking. I've never been to the US. No, I was talking to Miguel the other day, and because he says, "Oh, I'll come visit you." I said, "No, I'll come visit you. It'll be more interesting." Well, I think this year I will be visiting, because I was thinking of going to Tinley in either March or October.
Do October. I mean, I will be at the Tinley October. I have knee surgery in like 2 weeks, so I won't be able to make it to March Tinley, unfortunately, this year, but I will for sure be in October. And it is well known that October, because of like the weather also, I mean, it's pretty gnarly in March. Not that Tinley March isn't fun. I'm just saying October is the time, I feel like. But either way, man, I hope you come to the States and
I will.
West Coast, and Miguel's place is awesome. Like his, I mean, it's cool to have someone who has the amount of heat that like Miguel has, and you know, and he's from Southern California, and he's not a Canova, he's his own fucking thing, and he's killing it, bro. Like that guy's just on another level, you know. Yeah,
he's doing fantastic, and he's a good dude, so he deserves all the success in the
world. Really
does
too, because I mean, I know you were around when motherfuckers hated on that dude, you know, and he was just coming in and just doing his thing, and so many people who were just not hacking it were all fucking hating on him on making a name for himself. And now look, a lot of those people aren't even they're not even in the contestant no more. They're not even on the board. They're gone, you know?
Yeah. I know he caught a lot of heat. I don't know who from, but I used to hear him speaking of it a lot. But yeah, that's no good. It's no good for the industry. And it's just jealousy on their part.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what, and you know, obviously one thing Miguel taught me is like how to just accept jealousy for what it is. Because just if you're going to continue to kill it at life, that jealousy just continues to come and come. It just doesn't stop. So you just almost have to become really immune to it. Like you have to just like let that shit just bounce off to you, not affect you. But it hurts when that jealousy is something really close to you. And I will see, like Miguel's definitely had some of his closest friends pull some jealousy weird shit on him, you know, and that's stuff that anyone needs to be worried about. And that's also part of life. That's why people's circles become smaller and smaller and smaller, because they start to fucking see the exposure of people who are just not happy for you, you know, and no matter how people may seem like they're happy for you, a lot of them aren't happy for you. It sucks to say, but they just stick around because they're curious to see if you're gonna fuck up or not, you know. That's the truth.
Yeah,
it's the fuck about being a human, you know. Humans when humans can't figure something out and they want something out of life and they see someone else who figured it out, they can't stand it. It boils within them. Not everyone, but for the most part, jealousy ruins and owns people's lives, man. And it's a sad world, man. It sucks.
It is. And while we're on subject to Miguel, thank you for sponsoring this episode and making it possible.
Yeah, it's my dog, man. Appreciate Miguel. I love that guy, and I just really want to say there are a lot of great people in this hobby, man.
There is.
And I will say, man, shout out to all my other fellow UK friends that I have that are keeping. I would say one of my very first UK homie who really was just always so good to me was Dorset Pythons, man. Christian.
Yeah, Christian's a good dude.
Christian is probably my. Like I love you so much, Paul, because yes, like not only are you doing ball pythons, but you are like you and I are alike. Like I feel like if I ever had to make friends and hang out with someone a lot, almost on a daily basis in the UK world, it would be you, because we have the same taste. You know what I mean? But like Christian's my boy. That's my OG UK homie right there, bro. And I know UK has a bunch of amazing keepers, awesome people. That I can't wait to meet someday as well. I definitely need to get my ass over to the UK, bro, for sure. Just because I've never been. I just want to be there. I just want to check it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, okay, let's kind of remind me what's going on this year with Chondros, please, because I know you have. It all started with one pairing, right? From what I know, that led to this. Or how many? When you had your first ever pairing going, how many chondros did you have? Just those two,
My
right?
first ever in my life, right?
No, the clutch. Like because you had a clutch. Your first
Years
clutch
ago.
was like 2 years ago.
No, my first clutch was about maybe 8 years ago.
Oh shit! I did not know that. So,
Yeah.
oh man, I thought it was your very first clutch ever. What you just hit?
No,
Okay,
it was my first successful clutch.
dude. Let's go back 8 years ago. Tell me what happened years ago.
So
I don't know this.
In 2010, so I've been a snake keeper since I was the age of 14. I'm 40 now. I hate to say it, but I am. So I was a snake keeper from the age of 14 without any breaks. There was no gaps in it. And weirdly, I don't know if you've seen the program, these border security programs where they're pulling people over for smuggling drugs and stuff in airports. And they opened this dude's suitcase and he had socks with snakes inside, and they opened up and there was bright yellow green tree pythons. I'd never seen one before. I was like, oh my God, look at that snake. That is incredible. And I had to have one. So that was basically imprinted in my brain that I had to one day own a yellow green tree python. And in 2010...
It was in a sock?
Yeah, they were smuggling them, into Australia. They were smuggling... I think there may have been from designer lines or something. There was probably Greg Maxwell's. There was probably some savage designer.
Greg, that's gangster. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. So there was dude smuggling it into Australia because I think there was from real good lineage. And so I thought I had to have one. So in 2010, I bought, I think it was wild caught. I can't prove that, but I think it was a wild caught sarong. And then basically I got the bug and I started to collect, not many by any means, but, a few. And then I had the pleasure of buying 2 really nice chondros. And a couple of years passed. They was adults at the time I purchased them, but a couple of years passed and I thought, you know what, I feel ready to pair them. But at the time, I was keeping them in a glass enclosure, a bit like an Exoterra, very similar to an Exoterra, with a heat lamp and stuff. Basically cooking them. So I bred them, they locked and stuff, but I didn't see any ovulation, didn't see any signs. She was the biggest green tree python I've seen to date. She dwarfed anything I've ever seen. She was she must have been 6 foot long, really girthy. I used to call her the Moody Dragon because she was a bitch. And she had this massive like dragon head, like Game of Thrones dragon head. She was such an amazing snake, but she was savage. Anyway, basically my wife got up, she went into the snake room for summer and she sees loads of eggs everywhere. She runs into the bedroom, wakes me up. She said, Paul, there's loads of eggs in Dietes enclosure. Because we named her after Aphrodite's as well. So ran in there and I can't remember how many eggs, but there was a bunch of eggs in there. So I quickly went to a shop, bought with Mickey like everything I need, went back, created a polystyrene box incubator. It was all like rush. And, in the days that I followed, slowly, every single egg perished. I didn't even candle the eggs, so I don't know if they was fertile or not. Yeah. But, they perished. So then I decided, to be way more prepared. I was planning to set everything up when I saw an ovulation, and I didn't see one. But I'd never seen an ovulation in a snake up and, before that day. So,
yeah.
Yeah, so I had nothing to go on, and I was working full time, not for myself at this stage. So anyway, fast forward on a couple of years, I got hit with severe depression. So I sold all my chondros because I didn't feel I could give them the care.
Wait, was it the clutch experience that made you depressed, or just
no? That made me motivated.
That didn't help.
No, it was just family stuff. And then and work related as well. I wasn't happy with my job.
Right.
So then anyway, so when I was ready to get back into snakes on a bigger scale, I got into the ball python, started collecting, and then I just had that, that thirst for having green trees. So I started collecting again, and then had my clutch 2 years ago. I think I'll get a clutch this year. Then I'm going to go for 2 next year. Potentially 3 or more the next year. I'm taking it real slow with the green trees because one, I thoroughly enjoy it. Like ball pythons, it's like chondros. I still feel like a hobbyist, and I kind of want to keep
Yeah.
it. Like I don't like. I've seen Socrates.
It's fun being that green and wet behind the ears. Like it feels good. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
it does, and it kind of feels good when you're in a room and you're not like one of the top guys in the room. You know, like you're the tadpole in the pond. It kind of feels good, and so all eyes are on you and all questions are on you and stuff. So I enjoy that, and yeah, so I just want to take it real slow with them. I don't want to turn it into something it doesn't need to be. I just love it, and that's why I couldn't bring myself to sell one of the babies. But I'm pretty confident I'll get looking at her. I think I'm going to get a clutch. I think she's going to overlay it probably the next 2 weeks. Yeah, and this time I think as long as I get a good healthy clutch like last time, it's 17 good eggs. I think I'll get better results with the end result because I lost 4 eggs during incubation just because of an error I made. I put them straight on the vermiculite, which I shouldn't have done, and I think it must have been I mix vermiculite, most weeks because I'm a full-time snake breeder. But it must have been just a bit too wet for them particular eggs. So next time I'm going to put them on a light diffuser.
So the whole egg, all the eggs went directly on vermiculite, and you're saying that there were some that was maybe just too wet for its just too wet for those eggs, and they but the other ones hatched fine though. Yeah.
So they started to balloon. And when you touched them, there was no give in the egg, and I thought they're taking on water. So I immediately set about removing them, putting them on light diffuser. But 4 was too far gone, couldn't save them. And then 1 or 2 babies was heavily kinked. 1 or 2 babies didn't come out of the egg. Well, partially came out of the egg and died. And then I lost them once. It was something like 9, 8, 10 maybe came out. And then once I got them 10 on purchase, I thought, that's it. I'm not going to lose anymore. When I had 17 eggs, I thought I'm getting 17 babies. I'm a full-time snake breeder. So, I'm going to have some confidence, and I'm good at what I do. So I was like, dude, I'm getting 17, maybe even 18. There might even be twins in one. I was so confident. I don't mind admitting that because it's sometimes good to get a bit of an ass kicking. Brings you back down, doesn't it? Yeah.
It is. Especially if you like getting back up. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But you have to. Like that's what I'm saying. Like people, like my buddy Andrew, when I first got into this, told me was like, dude, like I know you got some green trees, but like just know that if you're like fragile and if you think you're going to be successful or you have expectations, you're going to learn really quickly. And if you're fragile and if your feelings get hurt easily, you're not going to last in this for sure, because it's not for the faint at heart. And boy, with those words stuck with me to this day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's true, but also too, like I know firsthand there were so many things that I could have done where I could have a holdback right now. And I did a lot of user error shit, you know what I mean? Which is good. I'm glad to know, like, this is what I'll never do again. But I got to tell you, as long as you have a locked in, well dialed in incubator and those eggs are good, and that egg box has air holes and there's good circulation, you're in the game. You know what I mean? You just they're just eggs you just don't fuck with. Don't fuck with them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'll set them and forget them, but I didn't bring down the temperatures.
What'd you cook them at?
So I cooked them at 87.4, and I didn't aim for 87.4. I heard Gary Shavino, I'm sure it was Gary, said I cook green sheep python eggs at 87.4, and I heat gunned the base guy of a walking incubator. I heat gunned the bottom, basically the floor, and it was about that temperature. And I just thought, right, I wonder if I can actually aim for that temp. So I made an egg box up, put a Exoterra thermometer in there and a Thermo Pro thermometer in there, set it and forget it for a week, checked it. It was at 87.4. I was like, I cannot believe it's exactly the temperature I want. So that's what I do. I just put them on the floor rather than on the racking. And I don't move the temps. I don't, mess with them. And then on day 50, I think it was day 50. Day 50. I remember literally running up to Urban because it's on my property. Ran up to Urban, and I just knew I was going to see a head, and I knew it was going to be red. And I opened it. I opened incubator, opened tub, and I saw a little red head, and I thought, yes, I've done it. That to me, you'll be able to relate to this because you've recently had a child. It's like, what? true. You know, it's a feeling you're not ever gonna forget. And yeah, so I did a couple of Instagram videos, you know, of the little head, and then I thought I'm going to pip them all, just small, just a little V in every single one, just to make sure if they want to leave the egg, they certainly can. And I pipped them all, and yeah, the rest is kind of history. Weirdly though, as an observation, so I had a yellow baby. It was the first green tree python to ever bite me. It was as a baby, but I've still never been bit by an adult. So it was the first green tree to beat me. It was the first to eat. It was the first to perch. It was the first to do everything, and it was the first to die. It just died, and I was so shocked. I came into the room and I just, you know, check them every day, and I'm opening tubs, and I thought, wow, that doesn't look good. What's going on there? And moments later, it was dead. I could never understood. It hadn't just fed, so I hadn't give it a an iffy prime or something like that. Everything was just normal. Everything was the same. No temp spikes. It was all sharing the same heat source. It's just weird. So yeah, they can just die for no reason, or for reasons we won't find out.
Yeah, I mean that's for sure. That's why the whole attachment thing is hard to kind of let go of, like, because you think, what did I do wrong? What the fuck did I do? I did nothing wrong. Why is it dead? And those answers you won't know in this lifetime.
Exactly.
It is what it is. You just keep it moving. But also too, you look for signs too. Like I do know that if you are dealing with a lot of prolapses, or if you're dealing with one thing a lot, then there just needs to be an adjustment. You know what I'm saying? But then there's also
it. I was dealing with nothing.
Yeah, then you're good. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. There's nothing that needs to be fixed, and don't fix it. You're fucking throw your hands in the air. You know what I mean? But also too, people don't understand that, they think, oh, a lot of happening is because of just the luck, but no, it could just be what's happening to either your temps or fluctuations. But it takes a little bit of legwork and adjusting to figure out what it is to get things dialed in. But also what you don't want to do is switch things every fucking year too. You can go down this rabbit hole and do different things every year, and you're never going to find out what works if you do that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Keep it simple.
Yeah. Now, obviously, like there's so many steps, right? And I feel like you get that pip and they come out and they're perched, the journey really starts, because guess what? They got to eat, right? And you have 8 of them that you held back. So how did all those get established? Let's hear about that experience.
So, I was having a hard time in the beginning. That yellow one ate straight away. I named that. Well, a friend named it Samurai. So I got Pinky, Mouse, and no fur, nothing. Let them defrost. Dunked their head in really hot water, and then just tongue fed them. And Samurai ate, and then 1 or 2 others ate, but not many of them. And then basically I had about 4 or 5 runners, and that shit fucks me right up. I've got no patience for that shit. I'm so good with ball pythons and stuff. I can get, like when people are like, "Do you assist feed?" I'm like,
ball pythons don't run, dude.
no. But like when people are like, "Oh, I've got 17 assist feeding snakes today," I'm like, I don't get 1 a year. Well, maybe 1 a year, but that's it. I don't get
either. That's why. Like, oh man, I'll never forget when I had to assist feed my first chondro, and it sucked. But I'm like, dude, at least I don't fucking do this with ball pythons, because ball pythons, I don't deal with that shit at all. Like I always get. And I don't even need to knock on wood with this shit. I'm that confident. My baby ball pythons always eat. They always eat. Yeah. And I'm like, it's great. But I also have people like, hey guys, we have another assist feed video. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, like what's going on over there?
Yeah, just set them up correctly and they should be golden. But yeah, so I had a few runners. It was, it was an uphill struggle. So I reached out to a few people, asked advice and that. And then a couple of people says, like wear long sleeve top, wear gloves, basically go into the room like a ninja warrior, like a samurai, really late at night, when they strike, don't move and, don't blink and all this stuff. And I tried this for one night.
Wear a ski mask?
Yeah, ski mask, you've got to walk left foot, not right, left, right. And it was like, this shit's crazy. And I thought, fuck that. I'll just do it in my working day between the hours of 9 to 5, and I will just do it my way. So I put on some, I think it was Disturbed. I put Disturbed on, pretty loud. I got in the zone and I thought, you motherfuckers are going to eat. And I think 90% of them ate. So for me, if so 12 and 2 a.m. and stuff, I would say no. Feed them when you feel at best that you can put everything into the effort of feeding them, because that's where, you know, lights was on, stuff like that. There's only 2 snakes I've had to feed at night, and I've actually turned the enclosure lights off because I'm going to feed them after this, and that's my emeralds. Yeah. They are tricky to feed with lights on, but green trees like these are bulletproof now. So yeah, the runners are a pain, but at the end of it, what you have for the effort, you know, it's easily worth it. You know, I know the runners, I know they boil your head and almost make you want to kill them. But at the end of it, if you've got a nice healthy green tree python, it's worth the effort. And things that are worth the effort, the reward is greater in it. Let's face it.
Yeah. I just had like, okay, because we were going back and forth in the Patreon Instagram group chat, and I was digging for a photo, and then I found my very first production was in 2020.
El Chapo, was it?
Yeah, the original El Chapo. And I was like thinking about like, man, like you forget, MJ, that your very first fucking snake that you produced ate the first time. It was great. Like it wasn't the only shitty thing that it died when I got knee surgery. And it died because my room got over fucking 90. It got like almost 100 degrees in my room. But I was like, dude, so I know that, okay, you know that you can get a thriving snake, but it just so many different learning curves that could possibly come. Like Bill Stiegel always talked about how his first clutch was fucking, I think 16 for 16 or something, was like perfect. And then the next 2 clutches were hell and they're miserable. And so, you know what I mean? So it's like, either way, you're going to learn something. And I'm happy I got these licks like right away. You know what I'm saying? Because some people, you know, all chipper in the beginning, and then something bad happens and they go, fuck, I'm not going to do this. And they just give up. That's the truth with a lot of people. They don't like to just suck at something. You know what I mean? Yeah. But you have a choice with some of this shit, bro. But like, it goes back to what you said. I like feeling new in something, because, you know, I'm not new in everything, but this, man, I'm like a fucking, like, I'm in Little League, you know what I'm saying? But it feels great because I'm just I'm always looking for little signs, you know, like my Emerald Tree Boa game. I got my very first Emerald Tree Boa ovulation, you know what I'm saying? And just to even see that in person, like, holy shit, are you kidding me? And now I got 150 days, but still, like, this is crazy. At least I don't have to incubate them. Like, it's not on me, man.
Yeah.
Everything. I'm having fun just seeing everything as it goes, you know?
Yeah, that's it. And you know, it's nice, like, to reach out to people and get a little bit of their undivided attention. Like when I messaged Ed, I thought, do you know, maybe a reply, maybe he won't. And he was replying. He was like, dude, if you need to know anything, just holler. I must admit, I'm not going to name anyone's name, but I reached out to a couple of your past guests and they didn't give me time of day. I was like, really? Like,
oh come on, you got to give me more than that, bro. Okay, but honestly, yeah, don't name drop those people. Tell me out.
No, no.
Normally, I'm like, I want to know who on the live, but no, they could be my homies. So we'll talk.
No, I think one of them might be, but no, the good guys. Well, they just didn't reply, and I just thought, dude, I'll make sure I don't do no one like that. But no, there's some good supportive dudes out there, and I think eventually I will. When I'm confident that the transaction from getting, not the transaction, but the transport, should I say, of getting Ed Marino all 5 of his basins from him to me, when I know it's going to be pretty smooth, I think I'm going to pull the trigger and buy a couple, because I've got to have some of the snowflake line.
Well, we all know ball pythons come and go from, you know, United States to the UK, obviously. So is it a little more trickier with the different species? Is that what it is?
I don't think it's the transportation of the animal. It's the animal in transportation.
Yeah, because that could be very stressful and just like, you never know.
That's the thing. So it's like if someone, like, you could literally, you know, put a ball python in the box and kick it, you know, home, you know, you could, you know, on a cold wintry day, you could, they're bulletproof, but I wouldn't fancy doing that with a, you know, $10,000 Ed Marino snowflake line,
Yeah,
You
that
know,
would
basin.
be brutal.
And,
bro.
and the loss would be devastating. I know he can produce. He's so successful with these, and his story is really amazing. How, you know, he once vowed he'd never put his snakes in the basement, and then he put his snakes in the basement and never looked back. But you know, it'd still be such a loss to the industry because they're so few and far between. The waitress is here. Sorry, you're not gonna be on camera. Thank you. Thanks very much. Cheers.
Cheers, buddy. No, but yeah, you're right. It is a scary thing, you know, just because you spend so much money on one animal, and we're talking about an animal that can't be kicked around like a ball python can be kicked around. Not that we need physically kicked around.
Just for the record, we don't kick
for the record, we don't mean that's just a metaphor that we're saying. But
and a bad one.
But you know, at the end of the day, like, you know, Pedro's gotten a green tree python here, and it's doable. You know what I'm saying? It's just kind of like, what's the smoothest way to do it? You know, I would say those big wooden fucking crates, like, you know, those Indonesia fucking wooden crates that they do, and just put a cage within that crate or some shit. I mean, I don't know what else you could think of. You know? Yeah.
Well, when you're transporting animals through airlines, you have to use their boxes in most cases. So you get special poly boxes from the airline, and they're about £300 or £400 for one box. So if you lose that, you have to buy another one. So, you know, it's tricky, but I'm sure I'll do it because that, you know, I've had like nice cars and stuff, and that to me is something, you know, tomorrow's not promised, and I want to make sure, you know, while I'm here, I live life to the fullest, and having one or more of Ed Marino's basins, I definitely want more because I want to breed them. You know, it's something I really need to do. I have to do it.
I have to ask you this because this has been a crazy bit of a topic since I've started the All in the Tree Tuesday segments with my co-hosts Bill Stiegel and Marshall Mendez. I've noticed that there's quite a bit of OGs in the chondro game who only feed mice. They don't feed any rats whatsoever. What's your take on that, and what do you prefer?
I prefer to feed them different things. So I don't keep them on one prey item. So I breed my own rodents, and more recently I've started breeding mice. And for some reason, I was quite against breeding mice. I heard they're really smelly and difficult to breed, but I got them off he's probably my best friend, Andy Fagan at Road Constrictors. Love him to bits. He's my homie through and through. And he brought me up these really nice, like show quality mice. They actually, you know, do show them and stuff. And they don't smell horrendous. They breed fantastically well. You just leave them, set them and forget them in groups. So now I do breed mice. That was the long version of yes, I breed mice. So now I breed rats, African soft furs, and mice. And I switch my ball pythons from shop bought mice to rats and African soft furs. But what I prefer is a whole prey item, including fur. So I don't feed my green tree pythons, my chondros, rats if they require one that's basically like a pinky. It's just a bag of mush. So when they're on pinky mice, because obviously they're so tiny, I would now just douse them in chick down. So if I get a clutch this year, I will douse the pinkies, everyone, before I even attempt to feed any in chick down, because I think there's a lot to say about what the feathers do in digestion.
Yeah,
I think, yeah, you know, with no prolapses, to have some substance, almost like fiber there, I think it really does help. So as long as the prey item has fur on it, I will feed them rats, I will feed them mice, or I feed them African soft furs. I don't mind. But what I prefer to do is feed them mix. And if somebody said to me, if Bill Stiegel was here, for instance, because I have such respect for him, and he said, Paul, I think you'd do better for feeding mice and only mice, I would certainly try it. Because that guy knows more about chondros than I do.
So by the way, Bill Stiegel will never tell you that. He's a rat guy. So.
Oh, well, there you go. Well,
Buddy Buscemi, you're good. Marshall Mendez does that every episode. You're good.
I was just about to say, or Marshall or...
Buddy Buscemi does only his buddy. Oh, there we go again. Buddy Buscemi, Bill Stiegel's good friend and co-host on GTP Radio, only does mice, and you know, and that's something because Rico and and other people just implemented that habit from the get-go. But also it's not meaning you have to do it either, because Patrick Holmes does rats, I do rats, Socrates does rats, Bill Stiegel does rats, Mark Hager does rats. So
I think the bigger picture,
diversity is big though, bro. I think what you said, not giving them one source of anything, I don't think is good. I think switch it up, man. Even quail. Why don't people implement quail more? I think quail is an awesome substitute for especially for a male. Like recently, my male breeders who just been acting super hungry after a month, I'll give them like a small quail, and it's better than a rodent. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm not against feeding birds, chicks, quails, things like that. I think it's good for them. I think a varied diet, and unless you saw some ill effects in their defecation or if they regurge or something. I will say this: one of my green tree pythons regurges an African soft fur. One of the babies, it was the only yellow baby I've got, because I only hatched two, and Samurai, the one that died, was one yellow baby. The other one I still got. It's the least impressive green tree I own. And every time I feed African soft furs, the very next day it's regurged. And I did it 3 times in a row on, the precise feeding days, just to see if it was them. And he or she would regurge, and I'm like, damn, it either doesn't like them or allergic to them or something, I don't know. So obviously full bedding change, clean it all out, give it a wrap up, absolutely fine.
Wow. And so it does not regurge on a rat, is what you're saying.
Oh, doesn't regurge rats or mice, but will regurge. It's very strange.
Yeah, what's crazy is, like, I had my very first experience with the chondro regurging, and mind you, of course, it wasn't fucking something that came from me establishing it. I won't say the name, but there's it's sad to say, somebody who's been on this show too, but there was somebody who I highly trusted on a snake that they had available, and it was, and I never buy a snake that's old, or not old, but like that's not a neonate or a juvenile. Like my rule of thumb with the chondros, I want to raise it, But this snake was a unique looking snake, and it was a badass looking snake. And mind you, I had maybe an over 30-minute conversation with this person and confirming how solid is this snake. Is this snake fucking solid? Because if not, I don't want it. Sure enough, it comes in, nothing but fucking, like, it was not solid at all. And I knew right away. Like, I knew right away. I was like, this thing isn't eat anything. I have a feeling this thing's gonna be a problem. Sure enough, doesn't eat. The only time it did eat, it puked it up. It's puked a little small hopper mice up. And I'm like, and this snake's a 3-year-old snake. It should not be puking up a hopper mice. You know what I mean? And I was like very shocked, because I've been collecting chondros for about 6 years now. I've probably taken in over 20 imports. Never has any chondro ever puked on me ever in my entire life.
Same for me. That's it. Oh, that's the only one.
Very confused. And I'm thinking, maybe could it be a mice thing? Like Patrick Holmes recommended I do a rat pup or offer it a rat. And I do. Anything I offer it, it just either wraps it and drops it, or it kills it if it's live and doesn't eat it. You know what I'm saying? This is a BIAC too. Like, this BIACs don't do this. Like, this is a very strange situation that I have with this snake. And this is the thing that, you know why? And if this guy ever listens to this fucking podcast, you want to know why I kept you on the phone for 30 minutes, asshole? Is because this is what I didn't want to fucking deal with. And now I'm dealing with it, and it sucks.
Name him.
Yeah, he's an OG and whatever. I ain't gonna fucking name him. I'll fucking save his name out there, but whatever. Either way, it's just like you should never. It's crazy how things can go down, because but what I was getting at though is, like, when the emeralds puke on you, if you ever deal with that with the emeralds, bro, it's game over. These things do not heal off of regurgitation. It could be a fluke, like, you know how there's a heat spike or something happens where any snake could regurge. That right there doesn't mean the emerald's done. But if it's something where it's an import or something like that you get in and that thing pukes on you, there's no going back from that. And that's why seeing that chondro puke, I fucking panicked. I was like,
yeah, I did.
Is it over? Like, I thought I was gonna have to put this thing down. But no,
I thought it was over, but it's not. It's fighting strong. I just don't feed African soft furs.
Yeah, what's crazy is, like, I think you have Ian Bessel, and you have a couple other people who are very pro ASFs with their chondros. Even me, like, I've had some of my chondro adults are primarily on ASFs, because I feel like it's better than a medium or a small rat. You know what I mean? But yeah,
there's a lot of negative talk around rats being fatty and this and that, but
yeah,
I don't think rats carry fat. Just like a rabbit. I don't know if people have skinned a rabbit before. Rabbits are lean, and I don't think a rat is that dissimilar to the layout. They're very active animals, so I don't think they're all that fatty. Do I think they're fattier than mice and Archaeopteryx? Yeah, more probably. Yeah, but I don't think they're bad for the animals. Now, that's not to say I'm not going to be feeding no jumbo rats to my green trees. I feed them appropriate size. And they're just troopers. I don't warm the prey up. I just defrost it, put it in front of them. They muller it. There's no messing about. It's not like ball pythons. There's no messing about. But let me ask you this, MJ. So you've dabbled with imports, both green trees and emeralds. With your emeralds, have you ever successfully established one? As in, and have it today?
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, I mean, cool.
I haven't taken an import emerald in since I think Arlington 2022 because I was doing, and I did this on an experiment, mind you. Like I just had a bunch of podcasts where we're talking about how I'll never do I was probably saying I'll never get an import ever again. Like I'm good. I don't want to deal with it. But then something came across my mind at a freaking Arlington where I saw this huge, beautiful emerald tree bow, and I was like, I need to get it. I fucking spent $500. I got it. It was in quarantine for 13 months, like because Dr. Warren Booth was telling me how he quarantines for 13 months. I quarantined it for 13 months. It ate on the 9th month.
No way. Sorry, let me just digress. Digress. Let me just sideline. Warren Booth was the name. I thought the guy I was. Oh, Warren Booth. No, I've just clicked. Sorry, yeah. I thought the guy from Texas who I referred to earlier was called Warren Booth. That's not.
Oh, right. Yeah. That's where you got confused. No, that's Mark. That's Mark. Mark's the guy with the long hair. Warren Booth does not have. Warren Booth is an Ireland guy, I think, or no, he's Scottish, or I forget. Either way, he's a hell of a guy.
He was born in Ireland and he moved to the States. Yeah, no, and he's basically like a scientist, isn't he? Yeah, I got all twisted there. But anyway, yeah. So, do you still own that emerald now? Then? Yeah,
I do.
Oh, wicked! Oh, that's cool.
Right here, she's up there. Yep.
Wow. So that's that's
it's possible, man. And also, too, this girl right here is an import. This girl right here.
Wow. So, did you give them other than a standard quarantine? Checks, for any. What checks did you give them? Did you give like NIDA, IBD, anything like that?
Oh, because what I do, like I would think now if I were to ever do this, I will test off the beginning. But back then, my quarantine was put it in another room and just keep an eye on it. Like look for anything weird, mites, defecations that shouldn't be like looking normal, puking. Obviously, the biggest thing I'm looking for in the emerald, if I get it in, is how's it perching and how does it eat. And also how does it look? How does it look after it eats? I can tell you right now, you want to, and I hate to put this on anyone out there, but if anyone just inquired an emerald and they're feeding it small meals on purpose, I challenge you to up the meals. Okay, up that fucking meal because I guarantee you're just scared. But up that meal and watch. And if that emerald isn't perched like how this thing is perched after a meal, it's probably going to puke, unfortunately. So I just always would just obsess over the behavior of the snake after it eats. And it's nerve-wracking because I think it's day 4. Day 4, day 5 is when if an emerald's going to regurge, it's usually going to be on day 4 or 5 if it has that regurgitation issue. And sure enough, man, it would be that day. It would always be that day 4 or 5. I'd come in, I would smell something. I'm like, God damn it. And there goes that animal. But no, not the last one, man. Wow. But yeah. And then also too, obviously eating's the biggest part. If it eats and it can digest, that's huge, right? But can it shit right? Can it shed right? Because emeralds, a lot of people think that they have to force them to shit. You should not have to force your emerald to shit. Your emerald should shit on its own. And that's if the humidity's on point, the heat's good. Like if the emerald's comfortable, it's going to shit on its own. You shouldn't have to take it out, put it in a rain chamber.
Yeah.
That's not natural behavior. Like you shouldn't do that. You know what I mean?
You know what? I was designing and copying Kevin's new enclosures where it has a sloping base because I was designing these enclosures so I could have rain chambers for the emeralds and stuff. And then I just thought Ed Marino doesn't have this, and so many other breeders don't have this. I've forgotten that other guy's name, who Gary Shavino's friends with. He went the guy with the Bolins and stuff.
Oh, Keith McBee.
Keith McBee. So he doesn't have this, and I just thought, I'm probably not going to do what I tell people to do, and I say keep it, keep it simple. The KISS method, keep it simple.
Yeah,
Stupid.
I mean, let's say you have the time, the money, whatever. Everything gets a rain chamber in the fuck. Okay, what if something goes wrong? Like, what if one of those probes or whatever that you're using for the rain chamber busts out and you have a flood in your goddamn room or something? Like, you're just adding more things that could cause problems.
Yeah,
and you just don't need it. That's the thing. Like, I shout out to Dennis McNamara, but I don't know if you follow Dennis. He works at Virginia Zoo. He's bred basins successfully, and he cohabs basins in probably an enclosure this big as my room.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But when you have a basin in an enclosure like this, those rain chambers are important. You want to know why? Because that's what you need to do to keep a fucking room like that humidified so much. You have to dump rain on it. And in something like this, you don't need to do all that because the humidity is already, you can manage the humidity in something a lot better than this. Than a whole open room. You know what I'm saying?
So it's more the suspended liquid in the air, the humidity, rather than the actual raindrops hitting it.
Right, because I feel like a lot of times when people spray, they think they need to spray the animal directly, but they don't. They just need to spray the surroundings. I'd like to spray them directly if they're deep in shed or whatever sometimes, but for the most part, I never directly spray the animals, hardly ever. I'm saturating the floor really good. I get the walls and I get the ceiling, and that's it. And I usually do that every other day. The humidity in these right here are consistently between 70 and 80, maybe a little bit more, maybe about 90 when I'm done. But that's where I like to keep it at. And what's crazy is I had an episode with Kenny, this kid Kenny, which is, man, this kid's like fucking something else. I would watch this episode too, Paul, if you haven't. But this kid Kenny, which is Vin Russo's like right-hand man, like his apprentice, he went pretty strong on how he knows or he feels that his chondros love life a lot better when it's super humid in their enclosure. You know what I'm saying?
I'll stick my neck out and say I don't think I've missed a single one of your episodes if it's anything to do with arboreal snakes. If it's lizards or something, I probably won't. Ball pythons, I watch most if but your episodes come out far too fast for me to watch them all. Because when I'm cleaning rodents, I love listening to a podcast. It helps, it helps me get through my day. So I'm pretty sure I will have heard it.
Yeah. He's one of the youngest kids I've had on my show. Like, he's not even I don't know, what is he, 20 or something like that? But still.
Was it recent?
It was probably 3 weeks ago. Here, let me show you. I'll show you right now. So it's this one right here. Right here. See, Kenny Richie?
I can't. My screen's too small, and I can't see.
You can't see it? Okay.
Is it?
I'll send you the link.
Right. Yeah, if you don't mind, that'd be brilliant.
It was a really good episode, and he was the one that also told me how he never struggles about feeding a runner or feeding something that doesn't want to take a rat because he produces his own crested geckos, and he feeds off a baby crested gecko to a runner or a shy that's his go-to, and it only takes maybe 1 or 2 baby geckos for them to switch over just like that. And he does it. He says it's nothing to him. And guess what? You want to know something funny, bro? So Mark Hager, I just recently got a designer from Mark Hager, and Mark was like, "Hey, MJ, I got this yellow. He's a fucking kind of a pain in the ass. He's 7 months, and he just won't eat." And I'm like, "All right, send him to me." And sure enough, I got him, and he was exactly what Mark said. He was a shy little bastard. I'm just saying but shy little bastard, wanted nothing to do with nothing. And I'm on my 3rd week scratching my head. Kenny drops that information on the episode, and I hit up my buddy Josh, who he's pretty well dialed in with the crested geckos. And he's like, "Hey, bro, I actually have a trio breeding group that I'm willing to get rid of, and I'll give you some babies just to make sure to see if it works out." And guess what happened, buddy? Not even 3 minutes, bro. I dropped that little fucking gecko in there. 3 minutes takes it. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it, bro. I was like, we are doing everything wrong right now. Like,
the thing is, though, how many groups of crested geckos do you have to keep that?
Well, I mean, I don't have that many chondros. I mean, we're not talking ball pythons here. We're talking maybe.
Yeah, but you got. So you're putting them in live, yeah?
I am putting them live, but my game plan is to breed and obviously get them and frozen thaw them. I'm gonna get them. I'm gonna
Right. Yeah,
stack
it was the frozen forward bit I was missing out on, because I was thinking, well, they'd have to drop a clutch at the right time, then incubation, then they'd have to hatch at the exact time you need them. It would be very difficult. But obviously, if you're freezing the babies, and it's not so much. Emma, we're buying some crested geckos.
They drop way more than 2 eggs a year per female, just so you know.
I used to breed crested for my shop, because it's as easy to produce your own than buy it, and it's not.
But how crazy is it, Paul, to think that there's people who legit put chondros down because they can't get it to eat, or they just simply just don't make it because they're trying to offer it something that is not naturally what they eat at all whatsoever.
Do you know what, MJ? I was listening to one of your podcasts, and someone was on, and they said, if a baby doesn't eat, I just accept it's not meant to be.
That's
and
right.
I had kept that green tree python there alive for well over a year. It looked like a bag of death. It looked like a shoelace with dry shed, and it looked terrible. And every visitor would come round and be like, "Oh, look at this! Look at this! Oh, what's happened to that one?" I'd be like,
"Look at that one! Look at that one!"
yeah. And then I listened to that podcast and I thought, right, it's time to let you go. I was struggling with it because it was such a long time to get to where I actually had my own babies. I was finding that very, very difficult. And I thought, right, you little bastard, your game's done. And I thought, no, fuck it, one more month. And I wrote in my phone. I set a reminder. I actually said, hey, Siri, set a reminder for blah, 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 blah. And then I thought, if you aren't performing by then, I'm going to, have to let you die.
Right.
And it was as if the snake heard me talking into my phone, setting that reminder, and it's been a monster feeder. And I would say it's gone from, the worst looking baby green tree on the planet to, I would say 75% caught up to its siblings, to its biggest sibling.
Damn, wow.
I tell you this, I will never, me personally, we're all different and we all have to respect each other's, ways of doing things. I will never give up on one after that, unless I had 10 clutches in 1 year. I'd think I can lose 1 or 2. But if I'm having 1 or 2 clutches a year, I'm never going to give up on one. And it's turning out pretty cool looking. So yeah, it's the same as when people think, well, people say, oh, if one's a bad feeder, I'm never going to breed from it because babies could be. I don't necessarily buy into that, because I've had green trees be amazing feeders for 6 months a year, and then not so amazing for other 6 months a year. And well, you don't necessarily feed them that often, but it's the same with other snakes. You can produce clutches or litters off snakes that have been problems, and their baby's been the polar opposite. Yeah. So, and if it's genetic, like some people suggest it could be, if it's genetic, surely all the clutch should be bad or all the clutch should be good. I think it's just an individual thing. I think some are a bit more timid than others. Some are, a bit more relaxed, a bit more settled. We can't. You've got to imagine when these snakes hatch, they don't all hang about on the same branch, for the rest of their life. And we typically give them a very, very similar enclosure from one to the next. Same temperatures, same decor, same substrate, same water bowl. These snakes will, dissipate into the jungle and, live slightly different, in microclimates, slightly different microclimates. So we have to give a little bit of consideration to, we might be failing them in one way or another. So, yeah, I won't give up on one.
Yeah, it's the truth, man. It's honestly a lot more things we need to think about. And the only thing I could really think heavily about is how much stress people put on themselves and how much time and energy people do trying to get a neo to eat something it just wants nothing to do with, because not all of them are going to be on that level of wanting to take a day one mice pink. You know what I'm saying? Because this is the proof right here. I'm telling you right now, I was, okay, Mark Hager handed it down to me because yes, it's Mark Hager. And Mark Hager has probably dealt with a lot of these, and he probably knows when one's going to be a fucking really bad pain in the ass. And he asked me politely if I would take that on, and I said yes. And I know too, after my previous clutches, on how these snakes act and what they normally do when they act like this. They don't want nothing to do with food. So how is it that these snakes all have this type of behavior when it comes down to these type of snakes, and you throw a baby gecko in and it eats? Like, what the fuck? Like, hello? Like, it's not rocket science. You know what I mean? So that's why it's like, okay, we just need to kind of start thinking out the box now and stop listening to just either one or two people who are really good at this. You need to kind of take your own experience for what it is and make your own judgment. And that's, I love that you said that. Hey, listen, I know technically an average chondro veteran would probably put you down by now, but I'm going to just let you, I'm going to give you to this moment, you know, and just, you know, and it turned around. So wait, how many meals has that thing had at this point? Do you even know?
I have no clue, but once it started feeding, like once it had about 4 meals over the span of 6 weeks. So I was, you know, weaning it in nice and gentle, real small. I was just popping them in its mouth, letting go, walking away, not staying still. You know, I didn't come in like a ninja. And, you know, just pottering about doing my work. And I'd slowly see it, you know, eat. Once it started, you know, defecating, doing what it's supposed to do, acting like a little baby green tree python, I fed it every 5 days. And wow, well, it tonked along. And then after about, I don't know how long, maybe 4 or 5 months, I went to like every 10 days. It's probably had, I don't know. I don't want to say 50. I have no clue. 30, 40, 50 meals. I don't know. But it's fantastic. And now it's as good an eater because none of them ever refuse. I'm sure yours are the same. They green tree pythons, you know,
they're fucking piglets, man. They all they act like it's their last meal. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't have to be warmed up. It doesn't have to be, you know, the perfect color, temperature, whatever. They're just on it, and he or she is just like them. So you know, it's just a nice little reminder, just for me personally, you know, not to give up on one. Unless it's, you know, laid on the bottom of the enclosure dead.
Yeah, unless it's gasping for air and it can't breathe.
Yeah, but then I'd give it mouth to mouth. That'd kill it.
I believe in you, buddy.
Yeah, do that.
Man, that'd be epic. Oh. Listen, I got a wrap-up question for you here, Paul. Okay, and this is coming from somebody who loves seeing the green tree python side of things kind of blow up in the reptile industry here in the US. At least it's like, man, I feel like every day there's somebody new in my DMs asking me about green tree pythons, and I love that, man. But what would be some advice for anyone out there who's listening who is primarily ball pythons? They do pretty well, and they've heard maybe plenty of podcasts and maybe even are friends with you, and they're just not too sure about green tree pythons only because of the scary stuff we talked about, you know. Either way, how do we get people more confidence out there about getting into green tree pythons?
Well, the easiest way for me to answer that is if you think green tree pythons are difficult to keep, ask Greg Maxwell, the green tree python, the chondro, you know, god, who did write the book, wrote both of them, and who we all have so much to thank for, because now he breeds ball pythons, and he said, them little bastards are more difficult. You know, he said the green trees, not to breed, we're talking about to keep, to feed, you know. He's like, oh, you know, feeding takes 2 hours as opposed to 20 minutes and stuff. But the thing with me, and I think Gary Shavino said it, Bill Stiegel, you know, all the names we've talked about, I think they've all said it, where a green tree python, as long as you set it up correctly, is a very, very easy snake to keep. Now, breeding's a little bit different because you're putting stress on the animal. But if you're keeping it as a display or a pet, you know, they're very simple to keep. They're very easy to feed, and they're not bitey, horrible snakes that most people think. Just don't feed them like a ball python, and don't cook them like a, you know, bearded dragon. Just get your temperatures right, get your feeding right, and basically just I kind of leave mine alone. None of them bite. When I get them out to clean, none of them bite. They're good. They're fantastic. But then when it's time to venture into breeding them, I would say do a ton of research. Yeah. Speak to the right people.
That's when everything changes, right, Paul? Like that's when everything becomes like, oh wow, another day with my chondro. But once the breeding happens is when you really need to start documenting and fucking paying attention to shit.
Yeah. But don't if anybody's considering it, do not buy, in my opinion, do not buy a wild caught one to start with, because you want to set yourself up to succeed. And the best way you're going to do that is to buy off the right person, develop the right relationship with that person, get their help and advice, follow their advice. Don't ask, like Gary Shavino has just done a video, three things not to ask.
Not to ask. Oh.
Yeah, don't ask how long it is. Don't ask what his temperament's like, and I can't remember the third one.
The third one. Please go watch that episode. By the way, that's a really epic episode.
What was it? It was don't ask how long it is. Don't ask what his
temperament's like, and then
what was the third one? Can't remember.
Oh my god!
I'm just gonna message him all in my questions now.
Now I'm curious.
Hey MJ, did you see the green tree python cross ball python?
Yeah, fuck that thing. Every time somebody drops that in the Patreon fucking IG chat, I almost lose my mind. I don't want to see that shit thing.
No, I sent it to Gary and I said, I know how much you love. I didn't, not this time round, but when it was hatched, I said, I know how much you love Carponjo. So this made me think of you when you just wrote back, thanks, Paul.
I mean, okay. Do I think it's cool? I mean, okay,
no,
it, but it's not. It's just I don't want to see it. It's just.
Do you know what's wrong with it? You're breeding a snake that lives up a tree, a snake that predominantly lives underground.
Underground, right? It doesn't make any sense.
It's a bit like breeding a mole to an eagle. You know, a mole stays underground, an eagle soars. Don't cross them two. You know, I'm not a hybrid hater, but that one for me, I think it was taking it a step too far. But that's not to say, you know, my opinion counts or anything.
Because I love Gary so much, I pulled it up. Here, let's learn what number 3 was together. Number 3. This is...
I hope he's naked in this section.
Never ask when a baby green tree python...
Okay, guys, what I want to get into are 3 questions you should never ask when you're buying a
hold on.
Baby green. Like I said, they're about 50. You cannot sex a baby green tree python.
Sex, that's it, the sex. Yeah, I want 1.1. That's what he says.
Yeah, I want 1.1.
Yeah.
Stop the size.
MJ, you once said
it was the sex.
MJ, you once said on one of your past podcasts, there's 2 green tree python sexes. Female.
Oh.
It's so true.
Do that again. You felt you went down. What? Say that again.
Sorry, I said one of your previous podcasts. You said there's 2 green tree python sexes, female and unsexed, and it's so true. It's so true. It's like I've got 9 males, 9 unsexed green tree pythons for sale. But if I've got 9 females, it's definitely 9 females.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Listen, 2 hours went by quick. Paul, I always love having you on. I think definitely the next time we have you on, respectfully, more than likely, we won't be talking ball pythons. I think it's time that we just move over to green tree pythons. And I say that because I want to bring Bill on next time, or bring another cool designer green tree python breeder here to kind of go back.
I was secretly hoping Marshall and Bill would be on. And then I looked at your screensavers, your thumbnails. I'm like, no, it's not that time. It's, you know, the timing's wrong.
We'll make that happen, and I will promise. You know, Marshall, dude, he has a hell of a career. You know, he works a 9 to 5, and the snakes are just it's literally just fun for him. You know, and us, we take this for it's our goddamn lives. You know, I'll get you on with Marshall for sure. And we, you know, maybe me, you, Marshall, and Pedro or something. That'd be a good episode.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Pedro. I miss Pedro a lot. And I want to say, for anyone out there, Paul, who's looking to be on top of everything that you have going on, definitely recommend joining your Patreon, right? But would you say Instagram is the place you're most active, or where are you kind of keeping people posted at other than your Patreon?
Yeah, so if it's ball python related, other than Patreon, Instagram, and I'm now getting back into YouTube because I have a love-hate relationship with YouTube. It's just so much work. So Instagram, but if you want to follow Urban Chondros, that's obviously Chondros stuff. And there'll be a lot more content coming to there soon because my room will be complete in the next couple of weeks. You know, a lot of enclosures, all the snakes in brand new enclosures. So there'll be a lot of content coming there soon. But yeah, it's mainly Instagram. I hate I'm on Facebook, but I hate it. I hate the place.
Yeah. And
so MJ's hot seat questions. Which one goes? Facebook. See ya.
And I will say, maybe I'm fucking blind as a bat, but right here when we were conversating, these little short conversations, I had no clue this was you, bro.
Never.
Look how I'm talking to you. I'm not even talking to you like we're friends. Like I'm just like
I can't. It's too small on my screen. I can't see it. I'll go back and read it.
Go back and read it. But I didn't know it was you, dude. And but I am following you now. And guys, please go follow Paul's Urban Chondros page because you don't want to miss this guy's work. And Paul, it's always a pleasure to have you on Trap Talk. But go enjoy the rest of your night. And guys, it's a wrap. Give it up for Paul from Urban.
Thanks, MJ.
And Chondros, ladies and gentlemen.
Thanks a lot.
All right, bro. Thank you. Have a good night, Paul. Talk to you soon,
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Later, man. Great episode, man. This is awesome. Paul's really just like, he's literally just like I am. He's geeked out over the chondros. I respect the fact that his first chondro clutch was 8 years ago. I did not know that, man. Great episode. If you guys enjoyed tonight's episode, make sure you get the likes up first and foremost. Paul definitely deserves mad likes. Let's maximize the likes. And if you enjoyed the chondro conversation, the ball python conversation, shoot, if you just enjoyed this episode at all, period, then hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. And if you select all, you'll be on top of every single podcast I drop here on this channel. Don't forget, this live you can catch on the Patreon page only, okay? This will be taken down, edited, and this will be released Friday evening, okay? This will be coming out Friday, 6 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. So just in case anyone out there. But if you're someone who wants to watch the unedited version, if you want to tap in with all the other unedited lives, then best place to go is the Trap Talk Patreon. Shout out to the Patreon members. You guys are my heart. And yeah, I'll catch you guys here next time, man. Don't forget, Thursday, it's going down. GTP Radio takes over the Trap. Buddy Bushimi and Bill Stiegel. Man, it's going to go down 6 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. All right. Enjoy the rest of your day, evening, wherever you're at. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Wrap for episode 455, Urban Constrictors in the books. Have a good night. See you tomorrow. Cheers. Thank you for watching. Please remember to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. If you're looking for exclusive content, please click the very first link you see in the description below. Join the Trap Talk Patreon family. As soon as you join the Patreon family, you get a link to the Discord, which will tap you in. I'll catch you guys here next week for another Trap Vlogs, and I'm out. Cheers.